Okay, so this is really interesting. I found it in your book. और ये R.C. Majumdar, one of the very revered historians of this country, not so popular for whatever reason, we'll talk about that in a bit. But he has mentioned, उन्होंने अपनी book में mention किया है. The book's name is History of the Freedom Movement in India. It is the first volume, where he talks ki how prominent books about history have said that India, Bharat or India, only lost its independence to the Christians and और बोलते हैं कि like 200 साल का जो उनका राज था, only that time हम गुलाम थे. Okay. उस पर एक बहुत interesting, it is in the preface section. I want to read this out. It will take just a minute.
Please.
Yeah, because I want the listeners to. Yes. And I will put a screenshot on the screen so people can read it. इस book में like in the Eminent Distorians, the page number is 195 to 196 and it is from the book History of Freedom Movement in India by R.C. Majumdar. Okay, so he writes, the official history of the freedom movement starts with the premises that India lost independence only in the 18th century and had thus an experience of subjection to a foreign power for only 2 centuries. Real history, on the other hand, teaches us that the major part of India lost independence about 5 centuries before and merely changed masters in the 18th century. He goes on to say, political exigencies gave rise to the slogan of Hindu-Muslim fraternity. An impression was sought to be deliberately created that the Hindus and the Muslims had already shed so much of their individual characteristics, and there was such a complete transformation of both and a fusion of their cultures that there was no essential difference between the two. Though every true Indian must ever devoutly wish for such a consummation, it was unfortunately never a historical fact. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, M.A. Jinnah and other Muslim leaders who never believed in it entertained more realistic views in this respect than either Mahatma Gandhi or Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. To accept as a fact what is eminently desirable but has not yet been achieved, though perhaps attainable by prolonged efforts, is not only a great historical error but also a political blunder of the first magnitude, which often leads to tragic consequences.
Beautiful line. Beautiful line.
This is so interesting that it was this book was published in 1962. Okay, so it is so interesting, and why I say that, because he like Majumdar sir picks on a very nuanced and a very thin point in our history, and he says that whatever Hindu-Muslim unity and Ganga-Jamuni Tehzeeb you all people are talking about, it is not a historical fact.
It's like something we wish.
Yes, you wish for this to attain, and it is a good thought to attain, obviously, but it has not been achieved yet. और अगर हम, what he's trying to say, कि अगर हम बस claim करते रहेंगे ऐसा था, but ऐसा था नहीं, it will have, like he mentioned in the last line, which leads to tragic consequences, and I think the tragic consequences are we are seeing right now. For whatever.
Not just that, you look at Gandhi's time, Khilafat movement.
Yes, exactly.
Classic example of that, where completely believed but were not there.
Yes.
And then it resulted in Malabar riot.
Yeah, we have written a blog about entire Malabar rebellion, जो rebellion कही जाती है.
And not just that, Kohat में हुआ.
Yes, Kohat में हुआ.
I'm seeing this Jaideep's book, the part 2 of it.
Yes.
Talks in detail about
that.
It
in very detail, yes.
Yeah.
And
so it happened across
you mentioned
the
his book, Jaideep also in the second book points out this exact thing. Like whatever you are claiming कि Hindu-Muslim unity, Ganga-Jamuni Tehzeeb थी, the other side, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, all these people, they did not claim that. Like there are speeches, I've read his book and I've a lot of, कई जगह मुझे पता चला कि there have been speeches of Syed Ahmad Khan where he says very categorically, he agrees that Hindus and Muslims are two separate nations and they cannot be together. But this idea of a fraternity is being portrayed.
No, this is done by us.
Yeah.
This is done by Hindu leaders, done by Gandhi for instance, Nehru for instance. And so we self-delude ourselves, hoping that this will happen. It's like make us believe.
Yes.
And that's why identification, for instance, was also kind of projection of that. We wanted to make it look like it was a Hindu-Muslim joint endeavor of taking on the British, and we almost got there. Okay, that time we failed. If we do it again, we'll get it this time. It was this desire.
Yes.
Now, history is not done on desire. The reality is, when we got independent, we got partition at the same time. This is what the reality is.
Yes. And
But coming to Arsi Majumdar
Yeah.
thing, his was a very fascinating story. Otherwise, also, like he wanted to write the history of this country
Yes.
from Bharat's perspective at the time of independence. In fact, he reached out
Yes.
to education ministry of that time in 1948. And for 2 years there was no reply. Then he reached out to President of India, Rajendra Prasad ji. He intervened, I think, and then the board was
A
made.
committee was formed where they were
But
writing.
within 2 years, that committee was again dissolved and everything, and his history couldn't come. The reality when he comes, and that's why the preface of the thing
Yes.
comes up. He comes and gives 3 reasons for that. He said one reason was 1857 revolt. He said government wanted to celebrate 100 years of 1857,
Okay,
1957.
It was yes.
So they wanted to project it like Hindu-Muslim
And he was not ready to write
joint work when they
Yeah.
fought together. Look what great, So he said, no, this didn't happen. So one was that reason. Second, he refused to believe that India's independence was just the result of Gandhian movement. And for a Nehruvian ecosystem, this was a big no-no, because they just wanted to appropriate everything for Gandhi and Nehru. They said, oh, no. But for Arsi Majumdar, revolutionaries played a very important role, and which was also, I believed in my book also. So that was the second reason he gave. And the third, and most what you also talked about, was that he believed that our freedom movement is not just 200 years. It is almost like 800 years old.
800 years. Yeah.
So these were the 3 no-go areas for Nehruvian ecosystem, and that's why he was sent on exile. You can say he was the most prominent historian of his time. When India got independence, he and Jadunath Sarkar were the most prominent historian. But within 2 decades, he was completely pushed out of the national consciousness. People just knew nothing about him.